What up? What up? Hey, yo, how we doing, y'all? I hope everybody is doing well. I hope they had a great day. I hope they're out there conquering with intent and choose prosperity. Yup, yup. It's your boy, your favorite CEO, back with another video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Michael Murray Jr., and I am the CEO and executive consultant of B. Jackson Co. We are a networking, training, and investment legacy company organization. All right. So we are here today to drop that game for you and everything like that. So make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe. Subscribe down below so then you can see every time when we upload a new video. And in addition to that, we actually just released some new services. Okay. So we now have IT consulting available. Woo, woo. Yup. So if anybody, that could be you, an individual, a small business owner, what have you, that has any issues in partaking to IT, I'm your guy. Okay. So if you have a register at your business that you're struggling in, and maybe that needs to get updated, or maybe your Wi-Fi is slow, right? Or your computer isn't up to speed anymore, you can go ahead and give your boy a call and let him know, hey, you know what? I need the IT consulting. Now, right now, we are actually doing 30 minutes for free. Okay. 30-minute free IT consulting. Okay. So that means you could be anywhere in the world. You don't have to be in the United States. Okay. And with that, I want to help you save money, and I want to help you get yourself in a position, or maybe even your team. Maybe you have a business, right? To get yourself in a position where you guys can go ahead and know and learn what you got to do. Okay. But enough of that. All right. What we're here today is talking about how to make a lot of money in 2022. Yeah, I know. When you're probably watching this in 2021, which is perfectly okay. But by the end of it, this can be applied to today and present and in the future. Okay. Now, with all the things that are going on in the world is changing. The world is changing, but there's a lot of things that are out there that hasn't changed. Okay. But they're for a reason. It's for a reason that some things hasn't changed out there in the world. So I'm here before you today to break that ice, to give you the things that you need to hear. All right. So first things first, you have three. Okay. Three. You have three big things that you can make a lot of money from, no matter what. Okay. You can go ahead and write this down, put it in your notes, or you can go ahead and, you know what, just listen to your boy, you know. And so when it comes down to it, like I said, you have the big three. Okay. What are the big three? What are they? Right. So you have one, and this is not in any particular order either. This is just me giving you what it is. All right. So out of three, right? One of one or one of three, we have business, right? Then we have real estate. Okay. Then we have stocks. Okay. Those are the big three. Now, if you know ASL, you know this is six. All right. But if you don't know ASL, that's why I was doing three this way. Because if you know ASL is three like this. If you do three like this is six. So I was doing three like that for a reason. All right. So that's some free ASL for you for a little bit, right? So like I said, business, real estate, and stocks. Okay. Those are your big three right there. Now, why are they the big three? I mean, if anything, go ahead and ask your favorite search engine why are they the big three? Because time and time again, it has proven that people who have invested themselves first and invested into these three different things that we just mentioned, they have made a lot of money. Okay. You have a lot of gurus out there and a lot of people who can go ahead and be in that establishment to show you the reasons why those are the big three. Okay. But it's been proven time and time again that those are the big three, and that's how you can make a lot of money. But let's break it down. Okay. What is a business? What is a business, right? So, just giving you the generic basic understanding of what a business actually is. It's a person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. Okay. The practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. Okay. What is commerce? Right? Because I'm pretty sure not everybody knows what commerce means. Commerce is the activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale. Okay. So we're not getting deep in here. We're not talking about selling and buying in bulk and all this other craziness. We were just talking about the basic generic definition of what is a business. Okay. So, all in all, when you have a business, you are conducting in a manner for a purpose, right? So you are going out there to the marketplace and you are expressing what you as a no feel the what you feel the marketplace needs. Okay. Maybe it's that, you've seen it. A couple examples. The fidget spinner, right? So the fidget spinner bursted onto the scene. I mean, boom, right? And if you actually learn about the story, it's kind of sad, but the whole thing of the fidget spinner, right? That is a business in its own. Other things that have came up that are new, right? You have Uber, you got Airbnb. Those are businesses in itself. Okay. So those are just a couple of examples that are new and fresh, right? That you can still get a grasp of. Okay. So that is what a business is. All right. Like I said, we're just talking about the basic of it, just the basics. We're not trying to get too deep or anything like that, because first comes the basics, then technique. Then you want to add strategy later. But once you have an understanding what the basics are, you can grow and scale from there. Okay. The next thing, right, is real estate. Okay. What is real estate? A lot of people know it just by, the basic things like a single family home or land or a self-storage unit, a gas station. So anything that's on land is considered to be real estate. But the proper definition for it is that real estate is property consisting of land and the buildings on it. So that can be anything like natural resources, such as like crops, minerals, or even water. Okay. So with that, it also is a immovable property of this nature. Okay. So land, real estate, boom. Okay. So like we just said, we gave a couple examples. We got, multifamily, which is apartment complexes. Okay. You got self-storages, you got single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, different things like that. And the scale just keeps going on and on and on. But the number one thing you need to know about real estate is that there's two different animals. Okay. You have one side, which is the single family home, duplex, triplex, and fourplex. That's all considered to be residential. Okay. Those are all residential real estate. That's in that category. Now we're starting to move on from residential. And when we evolve, let's say 4 units and above. So now we're talking about 5 units going up to whatever number you can think of, right? Realistically, that moves on to commercial real estate. So now we're talking about, let's say we're talking about multifamily. If you have a duplex, that's considered to be multifamily because it's multiple, families can live in those properties. Same thing with the triplex and the fourplex. But anything 4 units and below, because single family is just 1 unit. So 4 units and below, that's all residential. Now, multifamily is 5 units and above. Okay. So moving on, that also goes with self-storages. Okay. Self-storages isn't considered to be residential because it's not a living space. It's just a storage where you can store items for a future time. So you also have, units going from, let's say, So the smallest, you got like 15 to 20 going up to, let's say, 3,000. You know what I mean? So realistically, commercial, everybody knows commercial as the big game, right? Because you got your major historical buildings, you got warehouses, you got, retail, you got all these different things that are in commercial real estate, but it's a whole nother animal. So you have residential real estate and you have commercial real estate. Okay. Moving on. The last thing, what is a stock? What is stocks in general, right? You hear a lot of people talking about cryptocurrency. You got a lot of people talking about different things like ETFs, index funds, all these little different terms that you hear a lot of people spew out. But giving yourself that understanding of what those things actually are will help you in your situation. Okay, we're talking about how to make a lot of money in 2022. We're not only just talking about the year 2022, but we're talking about years going on past that. Okay, because when you take these small little doctrines into play and put it into your life, because it's not a habit, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that you need to put into your physical being. Okay, when you wake up in the morning and you go to work, what's the first thing that you do? You are thinking of a mental action. You're thinking of, okay, I need to clock in. That's the first thing I need to do. I need to get to work. I need to be there on time. I need to clock in. Well, what we're really doing is that we are consciously thinking about a mental action. So instead of us pausing for a second and thinking, okay, cool, you know what, I'm up early, this is great, I got enough time for myself, I could do what I gotta do, and then I'm out the door. I know if I leave no later than this time, I should be good. Okay, I'm pulling up, everything's cool. Now you not only are you not thinking of a mental action, but you are thinking to yourself what is more out there. Okay, there's a lot more things that you have in this world than you waking up and going to work. Give yourself some more time to get ready before you go to work. Make sure you go to bed at a certain time. There's all these different things that you got to do to put into place so you can put yourself in a position to win. You see that? So the number one thing that you got to do is put yourself in a position to win. All right. Now let's go back to what I was talking about. What is a stock? Okay. So a stock or stocks, right, are units of ownership in a company, also known as shares of stock or equities. Okay. So a stock is an ownership of a company. So let's say if you wanted to invest in Nike, right? Nike is a company brand, but you can invest your money into having a partial ownership, which is a stock or equity within that company. Okay. Now there's many different ways that you can go about it. A lot of people, what they like to do is, you got your short-term buy for that short gain, that quick capital, right? Or you got that long-term buy and hold. And then you got also other things in between that. But those are the main two things: short-term gain or long-term buy and hold. Okay. Now, when you're doing those two different things, you need to understand where your position is and where you are in your life. Now, if you're somebody who's in your 30s and above, this is really something that you need to activate in your mindset and knowing, okay, am I trying to do a short-term gain or am I trying to do a long-term buy and hold? Because this is going to play a very big role in the many different things that you endeavor to be in, right? So with the stock, there's many different things that you can do. So when you buy a share of a stock, you are purchasing a partial ownership stake in a company, entitling to certain benefits. So that means you may get dividends or other things that company may have discussed with you and what you receive. Every company is different, okay? But what you need to do is understand the position that you're in. Because when you understand the position you are in yourself, you have that clarity. Okay. Give yourself that mental clarity and exactly what you want to do. The number one thing you should be doing is tapping back into your dreams, unleash your imagination, because that is what's going to give you the big picture that you're looking to achieve. Now, it's going to be tough because there's a lot of people's dreams are shot. I mean, it's dead in the water. They just rather sit over here and just, watch Netflix or Hulu or just TV, and do whatever. But you are not that, because of the reason why you're still here watching this video. You know what I mean? You're here to make a lot of money, not only in 2022, but for the rest of your life. And so with that, it's just the matter of getting that mindset. So the number one thing that you should do is get yourself some pen and paper and clarify the things that you want to achieve in life. If you were able to claim anything and everything that you ever wanted in life, you need to do that and put it down on paper. Because what it's going to do is that your brain is starting to accumulate all these different aspects of life that you want to achieve. And it should be exciting. If it ain't exciting, then that means you don't want it. Okay. Make sure it's exciting, because that is going to want you to keep on going and going to go get it. Okay. But here's a couple of things that you need to know as well. You need to find your drive behind it. You can't just say, hey, I want to do this and that, because you can have your big picture. This is your big picture, let's say, and you're like, okay, this is what I want. This is how I want to do it, blah, blah, blah. This is it. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to reverse engineer to that point, to where you are to today, to how you can get to that big picture. Okay. So with that, like I said, you need to find your drive. So you can have this great big picture and it's awesome, and this is what you want, but get this, 2 weeks down the road, maybe even the day after, you'd be like, man, that was stupid. I don't even know why I did that, blah, blah, blah. You know what you did? You just shot yourself in the foot. You're hindering yourself. You're prohibiting yourself from that growth. Okay. We as people, we're meant to grow. We're meant to evolve. We're meant to go out there and just accomplish. Okay. But what a lot of people want to do is have those short accomplishments to fulfill that. But in the end, you're not content. You're there saying, oh, yeah, another day, another dollar. Or you're saying, oh, yeah, I'm living the dream, man. But all of that is prohibiting yourself from becoming your best and full potential. Okay. So I'm saying all of that to give yourself that mental clarity of, hey, this is my big picture. This is what I want to do. And then beside that, because there needs to be a reason why behind that. You can have this big picture, but why? Why are you doing that? Right? So once you find your why, and that's considered to be your drive. Your why is your drive. So when somebody says, well, find your drive, that's what that means is, what is the reason why you want to do that? Because 2 weeks may come down the road. Like I said, maybe even tomorrow or next week or a year goes by. And there's a lot of noise and distractions in the air and just what's going on in general. And you're going to think to yourself like, man, oh man, like, why am I doing this anyway? But when you understand your big picture and your why behind it, you're like, oh man, that's why I've been doing this. I'm not here for them. I'm here for myself, right? I'm here to build this amazing empire that I want to build because it's doable. Don't let anybody else tell you that it's not, okay? So just moving on from that, we need to understand the difference between an asset and a liability, okay? An asset and a liability. Now, in my terms, okay, in my own terms, in my own words, an asset is a producing vehicle that creates cash flow for you, okay? So it's producing it. It's an asset. It's putting something in your pocket, okay? Once again, in my own words, A liability is a producing a vehicle that produces the opposite. Is taken away from your pocket. Okay, so when that liability is taken away from your pocket, you know what I mean? It's something that you end up owing. It's like a debt that you have. Okay, so that's the difference between an asset and a liability. Those are major two things that you need to know when you're doing your thing, because it's going to help you subconsciously when you're doing the other things that you want to do. So that can either be the big three that we're talking about, being in business, stocks, or real estate. And that's going to take a major role in diversifying your portfolio. Okay. So in real terms, what an asset is, it's a vehicle to produce positive economic value. Any resource owned or controlled by a business or an economic entity. So meaning like a business or anything like that. A liability is debt, right? And what you owe. The state of being responsible for something, especially by law. Okay. So number one thing, a lot of people get, some things mixed up, and especially when it comes to residential real estate. Okay. When you have residential real estate, a lot of people say that it's an asset. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Residential real estate, single family, it is an asset. Okay. But it depends on the way on how you're doing it. It doesn't matter what you do, it's how you do it. Okay. So when you have real estate, AKA a single family home, it's considered to be an asset if you're not living in the property yourself. Well, what do you mean by that? What I mean is that you are actually allocating your, let's say, mortgage or your property taxes or whatever you have on that property, and you are accumulating a positive economic value to that. Okay. But you don't live in the property itself, like I said. So let's say you own a single family home outright. You own it. It's paid off. But you live in it. Technically, it's not a producing asset because it's not putting something in your pocket. What it's doing is that it's taken away from your pocket, right? Now it's considered to be a liability because you're living within it. You got to pay for the water heater breaks, or you got to pay for, if the roof is damaged or anything like that. You are liable for it. Okay. Now, once you get to the point where you're over there doing your thing and you're not living within that single family home, okay, you are having somebody pay for your mortgage or those property taxes. So that's where you're getting that asset, right? You're putting more money in your pocket, that positive economic value that we were just talking about. Okay, so those are two major different things. Okay, you living in a single family home, that's great. After you pay it off, what happens? And you gotta pay those property taxes. You don't pay those property taxes, the bank gonna take that house, right? So you need to own the land. Own the land, people. You own the land, shit. You can do anything you want, man. I'm telling you, just own that land, homie. That's what you gotta do. Now, when it comes to that liability, you can change that liability to something that ends up becoming a producing asset. Okay. And we already gave that to you. If you missed it, you need to rewind this video straight up. If you're hearing the live video, you need to wait until after it's done, and then you can go back so you can see what I said earlier, because that's the real stuff. So by the end of it, okay, we need to understand what is a mortgage. Now, I ask people this all the time and they don't even know what a mortgage is. And it's not funny in the aspect to laugh about. It's funny in the sense that it's sad, because not everybody knows what they get themselves into. Okay. Now, when I ask people what is a mortgage and they give me a definition, they give me a definition of a mortgage loan. Okay. There's a difference between a mortgage loan and a mortgage. Okay. Now, I already got this window opened up. This isn't something I wrote down, so I'm going to go ahead and just look it up for you. But the question that I have here on the favorite search engine is, the question is mortgage an asset? Okay, now this is the reply to that, right? The question is mortgage an asset? This is the answer to it. A mortgage can be an asset or a liability, depending on if you are the borrower or the lender. A liability refers to a financial obligation that you are responsible for, such as debt. An asset refers to an item of value that belongs to you. Okay. Now, just like I were talking about, all right, even though you may pay off that house, you still got to pay property taxes. So therefore, you own the crib, but you don't own the land. So that's why you still got to pay property taxes. You see that? But if you own the land with the house on top of it, that's all you. They ain't gonna mess with you. You know what I mean? So a mortgage is technically a liability because most people get a mortgage loan, and that's a debt that they owe with interest, with interest that they need to pay back over time. So technically, a mortgage isn't really something you want to get into. Now, a lot of people put their whole life savings into it. Grandma and grandpa bought it at the right time, and the market just increased the value of the home and everything else like that. But if grandma and grandpa didn't buy the land, then you're kind of SOL if you don't pay those property taxes. And it sucks, right? Because that was most likely the home that you grew up in. That's most likely something that you got into, you know what I mean? And you put your whole life savings into it. You worked hard for it every day, right? But the American dream isn't out what it is, okay? So if you're here for sure, then you know, all right, well, what do I need to do? Okay, now if you stay here this long, then I'm gonna give you what I believe that you should do. Now, I just like to let people know their options. You ain't got to do this. I mean, you can just click off this video and be like, man, he don't know what he's talking about. But one day you're gonna be like, wait a minute, I seen this guy. I seen him doing this. Yeah, I'm just saying. So I mean, hey, if you don't want to listen, that's fine with me because I already know what's up. Do your own research, then. You know. But by the end of it, what I recommend for you guys to do, especially if you want to get into real estate, okay, multifamily, the whole thing of house hacking, right? Living in one unit, let's say a fourplex. You live in one unit, you rent out the other three, and the three make up for the mortgage and then some. So you make that positive cash flow. That's house hacking. So then you're living rent free. Okay. If you got $10,000, $15,000, you can go ahead and get yourself a 16 unit apartment complex, 20 unit, 17, what have you. Go ahead. Same thing. Now, yes, you are getting a high quotes mortgage, let's say, but that's not it. It's technically a lease. Okay. A mortgage and lease are two different things. Okay. Like I said, do your research. So when it comes to a lease, you just need to pay what's on that lease. A lease contract is a contract that says A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3. This is what you got to do. And that's what it is. Right. So if you have money for that, then do that. Okay. Now, if we're talking about business, you can end up having a franchise. You could take that 10K, 15K once again, and you can end up getting a franchise of Chick-fil-A. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that when you get a franchise, you don't have to name it exactly what the franchise is. So Chick-fil-A, for instance, if I were to put 15K into a franchise of Chick-fil-A, I don't need to call it Chick-fil-A. It's a franchise. So therefore, I can just call it, I can call it Chick-fil-B. Literally, I can call it Chick-fil-B. And that is a franchise of Chick-fil-A. You see what I'm saying? But all these things, you're hearing it, but you're like, that doesn't make any sense. It's all going to help if you just go ahead and do your own research, okay? I can only give you so much. It's just like that other saying, you can give a horse or a camel. See, I've heard the camel part. Other people say horse, okay? But you can give a camel water to drink, but you can't force it, right? You can't force that camel to drink that water, or horse, right? So All these things that you have out there on YouTube University, on Instagram and Facebook, and all those different things, subconsciously you don't know that you have a different mindset when you go to those different apps. Okay, so when you're here on YouTube, you're here to learn something. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So if you stayed here this long, I just want to say thank you. Definitely thank you for checking out this live video and hanging out with your boy. You already know who it is. It's your favorite CEO. Once again, my name is Michael Murray Jr. I am the CEO and executive consultant of BJax & Co. We are an investment, networking, and legacy company organization. We're evolving. We're growing. You know what I mean? We got some big things happening, okay? And what you're doing being here is that you're following the journey, okay? Once I get to the point, or not, remember, when I say I or we or myself, I'm not talking about me as in the individual. I'm talking about BJax & Co., okay? Once BJax & Co. gets it to the point where it needs to be and it keeps growing, it keeps evolving, you'll be able to say, hey, you know what? I seen them before. He was out there, you know, just really making it happen for sure. But yup, you already know who it is. We're going to be back here tomorrow around the same time. You know, 6:00 p.m. is what we're going to be doing Monday through Friday. Okay, so make sure you catch that live video. All right, I holla. Beyond journey and existence.